We did 50% in 2010 of what it took us 50 years to build on the online platform. It seems like them boys are sitting in their underwear at 2 o'clock in the morning, pushing on these buttons, looking at these pictures and say, it can't be that bad.
It removes that element of physically being there to talk yourself out of it.
Gary, it looks like decision between live online or just online auctions. What are the strengths and weaknesses of doing live, because both have an online component? And Jason, I'm sure you have an opinion of that, but the reality of it is, whether it's live or online in the Steffes world, we do what's in the best interest of the seller. And so the seller wants a live auction, we'll do a live auction. That's what we're born and raised doing. I mean, we got all the hauler trailers and all that other kind of stuff. The online sale, that's still a wonderful, viable avenue. The people that choose onlines, they're doing it for a lot of reasons. One, they don't want to hassle with the day of sale. They don't want people in their yards, things like that. The ease and convenience of doing an online sale is pretty neat. And I'm going to go back to my dad again, because he influenced my life. Here's a little quick story that I'm going to turn over to Jason. When we started doing online auctions would have been in 2009 here in the US. So that was a long time ago already. We did 50% in 2010 of what it took us 50 years to build on the online platform. That's how significant that whole change was. And they're for all the reasons we're not going to go into. But my dad, one day we were at a nice spring auction sale, and you guys will appreciate this if you're a farmer. He said, these auction sales are changing. I'm telling you what. He says, all my life I've been doing these sales up and down the road, and I see a guy walk down the driveway and he's going to go right to that tractor. And I knew that guy, he's going to bid on that tractor. You can just tell, because he's just there and he's brought his wife with him to drive it home and everything else. And the first thing he does, he walks around the tractor and he thinks, I wonder what's wrong with it. And that's just what we do at auctions. He says, this doggone internet deal, I'm telling you what, he says, it seems like them boys are sitting in their underwear at 2 o'clock in the morning, pushing on these buttons, looking at these pictures and say, can't be that bad.
Well, that's true. It removes that element of physically being there to talk yourself out of it. It's a good question that was posted there, though. It says decisions between live and online. So if you do a live auction sale, you can have the online in the background, so you can still bid that way. So you get the best of both worlds. The pros are, if in what I said earlier, and it kind of ties to another question there about how does the name of the person get a premium of equipment? Well, if you're a good person and you've got a good reputation and you're proud of your equipment and you nothing to hide, you will go and have a live auction and have people come to your yard and be proud of what you have to offer and do it. And that's where you get a premium, because you're putting yourself out there. And
doesn't it become an event? It really does, doesn't it?
Bingo.
It becomes an event.
It becomes an event for the area, for the community, and so on. And we used to do the live online sales, and everybody can go down memory lane. We did them every day, and you could draw a circle of about maybe a 50-mile radius or 75-mile radius around that farm, and you could pull 300 people, and then you would get more people to come, and you'd have 500 people at the farm sales. Now, everybody just do this on your own farm. Draw a circle of a 50-mile radius around there, and I'll bet you have maybe 50. And that's probably BSing it to the top. I'd say it's more like 25 farmers left in that circle. So if when you have a live format, you're not going to get those crowds like you once achieved. Those days are kind of numbered. But we did do a live event up in Arcola, Saskatchewan, Lake Brownridge. Forget the numbers, but I think it was like 1,700 was registered onto that sale. And that was a live auction and an online format and online only. We did 3 things in that yard. We had the live auction. We were yodeling away with the internet in the background, could listen and bid. And so that's 2. And then the third one was you could walk around the yard in all the rows of smalls and you could bid on your phone and do it that way. Huge success, worked great, but not every sale is the same. So we have to address each person and let them make the decision. But we do. Scott, how many sales roughly last year? I forget. Did you correct me if I'm wrong? But I think the company as a whole, we did 661 sales.
Sounds about right.
And I believe about 50 of them on the US side or in everywhere was live events.
That's about right, Jason. And the other side about live event is like even Blake's sale, when we did it up there, 70% of the machinery went on the internet anyway.
Yeah.
I know I did an auction sale. This is where the turning point came from me in terms of, I grew up and I'm born and bred in the auction business. I want to be a live auctioneer. I want to yodel like Jason Jason says, that's what I do. I enjoy it and I love it. I'm interacting with people, get to know people. Where are you from? That kind of thing. But I was doing an auction sale 6 miles from where I grew up. And he had a 9250 combine, nice brand new one with tracks on it, paid a bunch of money for it and everything else. And we sold it and it went on to Internet Bidder. And I'm walking up to where our big hauler trailer is about 15, 20 minutes later. And the neighbor pulls up, Rob Putton. I said, hey, Rob, what's going on? You're missing the sale. He said, no, I wasn't missing the sale. I was watching it on the internet. I said, well, he said, yeah. I said, I bought the combine. I said, what do you mean you bought the combine? It went on the Internet Bidder. I saw it. I was the guy that took the bid. He said, yeah, I bought it on the internet. I said, you're 5 miles from here. He said, oh, I was changing cultivator shovels on my cultivator. I didn't want to stand around, so I just bought it on there. And all of a sudden the light bulb comes on.
Yeah. And one other thing, just to touch on that, and then we'll move on, but the live versus the internet sale, and those kind of stories are many. I've had people bid online standing right in the crowd and bid on their phone. But the live and the online formats are there for whatever the person wants. Our buyers, now we've talked about sellers, we've addressed the sellers buying versus live and the internet. What I'm saying is, if you're a buyer and you're under 40-ish years of age, and that's a rough number, but somewhere under that 40 mark, I would say 95% of those buyers want an online format only. If you're over 40-ish, you grew up going to auction sales and you understand it and you miss it. And you miss the camaraderie, you miss the people, and you want to be at a live event. And I think there's a split there. As far as money goes, I get asked this all the time, what brings more money? Misconception is out there that the internet brought a lot, made the market go higher when we did just online format. COVID was the reason the market shot up higher. The internet obviously it made it appear that it brought way more money than the live auction, but that's because there was no option at that point. And dealers look at the price of equipment and cars and trucks that had never went through an auction sale. That market shot right through the roof. And then at the same time, everybody's bidding online, clicking the button and saying, well, look at that. It brought way more money. That's because there was no equipment to buy. And that's what drove that market. The auction formats are there now to handle your retirement better. You get to pick which system you want.